Hi, my name is Sarah. Sorry, let me share my screen. So I guess some quick things is I'll do a quick intro, some extracurriculars I did in high school, takeaways I took from high school, and like how I brought that into my college experience. So some quick things about me. I'm a mechanical engineer at MIT. I'm mostly interested in robotics and controls. I'm currently working at MIT's D Lab development lab, making low cost refrigerators. I'm from Glen A. Wilson High School, class of 2018. I did robotics, science Olympiad, and also was president of UNICEF. So that's just a quick overview of me. So next slide. So extracurriculars. I joined robotics and science Olympiad my sophomore year of high school. So I had zero experience before that. So I guess it's to say that like it's never really too late to get involved. And I think that's something that I can really attest to. So some things about robotics. So I guess I have more of like tips and tricks to like be successful in a team. And this is specifically through my experience in robotics. So sophomore year was my first year in robotics. We were a growing team. This is the first time we went traveling, our first year at Super Regional. So it was really fun. I had no experience. Like I've never been on a team before. Before that, I just went to school and came home and I did whatever I did at home. I have no idea. So I had no robotics, coding, engineering experience at all. So I guess some advice for like your first year on a team is you want to leave a good impression. Like do the extra things, like especially your freshman sophomore year where you have like a lot of time because maybe school is less intense. Like stay the extra hours. I remember like my sophomore year, I was excited to stay like past 10 at school. I felt like, wow, I'm like really involved in this. And volunteer for tasks that like maybe other people don't want to do. So like for us, our team at the time really didn't really like doing the engineering journal. So I really tried taking that on and things like that. So I like volunteer for tasks. I was really proactive. I asked a lot of questions. Yeah, and also be flexible. Like I came in thinking I wanted to code, but I ended up figuring out that that was not my thing. So just take up as much a task as possible, like get the broadest range you can as possible, and ask questions to the upperclassmen and people who have been there for a while, because they obviously know what they're doing if they've been there for a while. So second year is my junior year, and that's when classes start ramping up a little bit more. So we were still kind of a growing team. We got a new robotics room. We got our first time getting the highest award, Inspire Award in competition. And we were starting to reach out to engineers for advice. So some of my advice to surviving junior year in robotics is set boundaries and don't overcommit. It's always better to be realistic with your goals rather than overcommitting and not reaching those goals because they're really relying on you to do what you need to do. So you don't want to overcommit and somebody who could have done the task in it because you said you could, and that's not good. And know at times like it's critical for you to be there. So things like the night before competitions or big presentations that we meet with engineers, like I would just pull all-nighters, but I knew that like I would have to get all my work done before that, and I would just pull like an all-nighter all of a sudden, and I'd keep going. So like you just need to know when to plan your times and know what times you need to be there for the team, because it's really useless if you're there like on like a random practice day versus like the night before a competition where you're like your presence is needed. Try to maintain some social time. The beautiful thing about robotics is there's a lot of collaboration with your teammates. So just be social with everyone. Go to like, if they have dinners and they eat dinner out, do that. We had dinners at our team meetings. So that was really fun to like be able to like relax and get to know people, and also be willing to like share your knowledge with other underclassmen because they're just trying to absorb stuff like I was like sophomore year. Senior year, also continued growth. I felt like the robotics team was really small when I was there. I think the year before me was like the first time it was taken seriously. So we were all in this uphill climb to like become like a serious team. So we got a bigger robotics team, which was really cool. And it was also our first time at the World Championship. Again, senior year, be clear when you're busy, especially during the fall when you have like a million college app things to do. Like I was very clear, like I couldn't come to practice, but as soon as like this college app was done, I could come, and things like that. This is like kind of your like last time with the team, so try to like enjoy your time and connect with underclassmen, because the community that robotics builds, I think, is very special. So like enjoy it while you're there, I guess. So overall, what robotics taught me is teamwork, collaboration, compromise. So I have a lot of disagreements with a lot of people there, but being able to work with the team is really important. And also making sacrifices for the team, because you're gonna you're gonna have to take days off of school. You're gonna have to pull all-nighters to finish your robot or journal last minute. So that was really important. It also taught me how STEM works in the real world, even though I learned a lot more in college, but it really taught me the possibilities that STEM can do. It really gave me a passion, because I knew that STEM could really make a difference in people's lives, and that was really cool. Talks with engineers, outreaching, and a lot of hands-on skills, which I thought was really important in robotics, and a lot of time management. In college too, you can't just do classes. I feel you have to do a lot of stuff. I'm doing research, for example. Very quickly, Science Olympiad. A later speaker probably has a lot more experience with Science Olympiad, so she can talk about it more. But for me, things I learned in Science Olympiad was independent learning and problem solving, the importance of build accuracy, your tolerances are pretty low in Science Olympiad, gathering your own resources and doing your own research. Science Olympiad, the events are kind of obscure, so there's not that many resources for them.
What?
So it's very important to be able to find your own resources. Some advice I would say is don't always take the easy path. Originally, when I joined my sophomore year, I did events that no one else wanted to do, because I'm oh, if there's no competition, I don't have to compete for an event. But I realized that that's not good, because I wasn't passionate about those. So I put less work into it, so I didn't score very well. But when I did events that maybe were more competitive to get, I was obviously more passionate about it, so I was able to get it and be more successful in it. So this is kind of a repeat of what I said before. I guess the biggest difference is the main thing here is dealing with failure and stumbling blocks. Science Olympiad, you have to be able to acknowledge when you make a mistake, because the events are individual. So you have to have that bounce back attitude. If your device completely fries and breaks, you have to be able to fix it. And you have to acknowledge that and learn from your mistakes. You can't really rely on other people to help fix your mistake. And also navigating your passion and interests. A beauty and also kind of a curse of Science Olympiad is it's so broad that you can really choose anything. So really choosing what you want to do is hard, but you also have a lot of choices. So, and don't be afraid to drop events that you don't think it's for you. Same with my sophomore year. I'm I spent all this time making a beautiful binder of this event I was not passionate about, but I realized that I wouldn't be successful either way, so I dropped it. Well, so things I carried with me, study habits and time management, collaboration and team spirit, and really just a passion for STEM. Especially collaboration, I think, is the biggest thing, being able to do homework with people, because there are piece sets that are impossible to do by yourself. So you have to have really a band of people to be willing to help you, and you have to be willing to help them, obviously. And I think that's one of the best things in college, I feel, is that there's not as much competition. So I think that, or it's not competition, it's more collaboration, I would say. So being able to work with others, and you're all just trying to finish this piece at 4 a.m. and but you're all within it together, so you have that energy and motivation. So I guess some quick things, I'm sorry, this is kind of long, but some quick things that what I think mechanical engineering right now at MIT looks like. So one cool project we did was this infection tag vest my freshman year, kind of ironic now, but basically you tag a person and we were able to make it glow. So if you tag if someone that was red tagged a blue person, that person would turn red. It was a really cool project, but sometimes STEM looks super ugly, all these loops and things. And this was for a Segway robot that I built, so you could push it over and it'll still balance with itself. So STEM can look pretty ugly too. So you have to really have a passion to problem solve and figure out issues with your code or with your anything. So yeah, again, STEM can look very, very ugly, but if you really like it and you really want to pursue it, getting that end result is very worth it. It's very fulfilling to be able to go through, have all this complicated physics and math and code in the background, and you have this like really elegant solution. So that's why I personally like STEM. So thank you for listening. There's my contact if you want to email me if you have any questions. And yeah, thank you.
Hi, so I'm Alvin. I'm going to not be using slides because I think I'm more of a free-form type of speaker, but quick introduction. I'm Alvin Lee. I graduated Wilson class of 2018. I am a Berkeley undergrad class of 2022 studying civil engineering. And I think one of the things that is one of the big things that highlighted my STEM college experience is that I was very late to the game. And what I mean by that is I didn't really understand what I wanted to do in college or even what I wanted to study until very late. So my high school portfolio for civil engineering and stuff like that is quite thin. Actually, it's probably non-existent really. So I didn't really discover my passion until junior year of high school. Didn't even really know that I wanted to do civil engineering or even had an idea of what specialization I wanted to do until junior year. All I really know is like, I like physics, I like math. All right, cool. I'm going to land somewhere in engineering, but I'm not really sure what. And you know what? That's okay. Colleges are accommodating. They have a lot of resources available to help you discover what you want, whether it's stuff like introduction classes, tutoring, honor societies, these kind of things. You can even switch your major if you really need to. So I think it's okay to be flexible, and you don't have to be worried if you don't really know exactly what you want to do or how you want to do these things. So I think I'm just going to talk about some of the really uh, important resources I use to really flesh out my career and my interest in civil engineering. And I think the first one is honor societies. So they are these there are these certain, I would say, like clubs that let you in if you meet certain requirements. So whether that be GPA caps or just doing certain amount of projects or hours, things like that. Um, Personally, right now, I am in two honor societies. I am in Chi Epsilon, which is the specific civil engineering honor society, and I am in Tau Beta Pi, which is the general engineering honor society. And these kind of things may seem a little cheesy. It's like, oh, maybe it's even a little elitist, in fact, that they only let in the top eighth of students, top eighth GPAs or top 12th or whatever they go for. But if you have the opportunity, you should definitely jump to it. It might be a little difficult to reach that GPA cap, but you guys should definitely try to do it as much as possible. Not really because of like the lifelong membership sort of thing. I don't really think that's too big of a deal, but more importantly, I think it gets you a community of people that do the same things you do and have the same sort of interests and values that you do. And not only that, it opens up a lot of resources, specifically career fairs. So that's something that I think that all of you guys in STEM are definitely going to be very familiar with in your time in college. Every time there's a career fair, you're just going to put on your nice clothes, walk over, talk to some companies, get turned down a lot. It's just the reality of these things. And a lot of you guys, everyone is ambitious when they first start. They go to a career fair in their freshman year. It's like, I'm going to talk to Raytheon or something. And of course, they never talk back because you're a freshman. And then you go back on sophomore year. It's like, I'm going to talk to Raytheon again. And then you get turned down because you're a sophomore. I think a lot of the college experience is getting equated with failure, right? And that is not a reflection on you. That's just a reflection on the college system. It's a little bit of a dog eat dog world. So if you mess up one or two times, doesn't matter. Just get back up, keep going. Career fairs are a very it's a very difficult environment. You guys are definitely going to go to a career fair and get no bites at all. But you know what? That's fine. Just keep going, keep moving on, and go to as many as you can. Going back to the main topic here about honor societies, one of the big things that I got out of these honor societies is their special career fairs. The thing that's different about these honor society career fairs is that the pool is a lot more limited. There's a lot less people in these honor societies, And within that, it's restricted to the certain amount of people who go to these events. So, usually these sort of honor society career fairs are tied to some sort of restriction, right? You got to go to some weird conference down in, Long Beach, LA, or something like that. You gotta go to like a virtual week-long thing. These kind of things might seem like a total pain, but definitely try and go, because these career fairs, from my experience, I found that these career fairs are a lot more helpful to finding an internship. And specifically going on to that, I got an internship in my sophomore year. I was very lucky. I got an internship at McCarthy Construction, being a project engineer. And that doesn't really make sense to some people. What project engineering is sort of like a construction manager. So these are the type of people who coordinate working field crews on construction sites, and make sure things get built properly, things get built to code. And it doesn't exactly match what people think of in engineering. And my next point is that it's okay to explore your options, right? College, like I said earlier, college is a time of exploration, and you learn a lot of things about yourselves and what intended field you are. So specifically in civil engineering, most people, when they think of civil engineering, they only think of structural engineering, so building buildings, building bridges, whatever. But once you get to Berkeley, or once you get to schools and start understanding these things, you realize there's a lot more you can do with that major. You don't really have to pigeonhole yourself to being like smart kid doing calculations in a room or something. You've got stuff like hydrology, you've got stuff like construction management, you've got stuff like architecture, these kind of things. Really broaden your horizons and learn a lot more. And that's how I ended up finding myself interning with construction management companies. So don't be too worried if you don't think you fit the archetype of what an engineer should be. Maybe you're like a lot more social of a person. Maybe you like going out. It's fine. There's definitely something that is matching what you've studied, matching your interests, and matching your personality. So at my internship with McCarthy Engineering, I think the general idea is just to treat it with respect. Hopefully you guys will be able to land internships that do pay you. But even if you don't land an internship that pays you, you should definitely jump at the opportunity. Internships are quite hard to come by, especially early on into college. So whatever can help your portfolio, whatever can get you more experience, you should definitely jump to the opportunity. Specifically for my internship, I stayed up in my apartment at Berkeley. I brought up my car. Every day I drove like 30 minutes to get to the internship site, everything. A lot of gas money, a lot of insurance money. And I think I had to cross like a $5 toll bridge every day. So, that's like, that hurts. I didn't really get paid much, but I think the experience is a lot more valuable than that kind of stuff. And once you get to your internship, it's all about treating it with respect. You have to understand that you're pretty much at the bottom of the totem pole, and everyone else there understands it as well. So I think if you personally understand that and understand that you're just there to learn, and you're there to learn and help out as much as possible, people will be more accommodating. It's all about understanding where you lie and where everyone else lies. And if you treat the whole experience with respect, they'll treat your whole experience with respect. Because I'll tell you guys right now, as much as you guys learn in school, it's quite different from what it is on the job site. So if you try and impose like your understanding on them, they're not really gonna like it. So, talk to people, make friends, do whatever your advisors tell you to. Sometimes you're going to have to do a little bit of overtime. And you know what? You just say, all right, boss, I'll do what I need to do. And let's see. Another thing that's really great to do in college is competing teams. So, unlike everyone else, I guess I've never really done high school competitions, stuff like that. But in college, I've started doing civil engineering competitions. So these are the American Society of Civil Engineer competition teams. And last year I did the seismic team. This year I did the heavy civil team. And it is quite a bit of work. I mean, I think everyone else here can attest to that. That competition in college is quite a different beast from competition in high school because of what's expected of you, what they want you to do. But I think it is quite important for the same reasons I said over the earlier for the honor societies. The whole thing about meeting people who are similar to you, having all these resources, but it's also more about the practical application of your skills and what you've learned. It does differ school by school. I think from my experience, Berkeley is more of a quote unquote theory focused school, whereas something like Cal Poly Pomona or Cal Poly SLO is more of like a practical skills school. But it's just an environment that lets you learn these things and work on these things. Learning about construction management, how to manage a site, these kind of things is totally different from organizing a site plan. So you guys should definitely try going to these civil engineering, or not civil engineering club. You should definitely try going to competition teams in college. It might be intimidating to put in all that work, but I think it's definitely a very fruitful venture. I know, like when I first started going to it, I had a different mindset. I was like, oh, I'm just doing this for apps and stuff like that. I got to do this to pad out my resume and all that stuff, but it's so much more. It's definitely worth it. It might seem like a total grind to go to all the meetings and do all the dry runs, but it's definitely something you guys should do. So I think that pretty much wraps up my talk. I think the main ideas here are, it's okay to not really know where you're going. College is 4 years, and that might not seem like a lot in the long run, but right now it's like a sixth of your guys' lives at this point. So, definitely take as much time as you need to explore what you want to do, because there is a lot of stuff there's a lot of venues for you to do what you want to do in whatever major you guys want. And just take every opportunity that comes up, whether it's something like a honor society, a competition team, an internship. Always jump at the opportunity and apply your guys as much as possible. And if you follow these 3 steps, I'm sure you guys will find a fruitful life and career out of your efforts. And I think that concludes my talk. Thanks for listening to me.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie and I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Okay, so my name is Katie Kyan. I'm currently a second year at UCLA and I'm majoring in molecular cell and developmental biology. And I graduated from Glen A. Wilson High School, just like Sarah and Alvin, but I graduated class of 2019. So I guess this is just kind of an overview of what I'm going to be talking about in this presentation. So kind of just talking about my journey in STEM and the organizations that I was involved in and how those organizations helped me choose my major at UCLA and what I'm doing now. So starting off, I was actually in robotics. I competed in freshman year in First Tech Challenge, and I was part of team 9873 Picatech. So this was kind of a community team that our middle school teacher, the middle school robotics coach, he formed a community team outside and he recruited me to help compete in this team. And it was actually a really great experience. I got to learn so many different things. And like you saw earlier, I was also part of Science Olympiad. And so robotics kind of gave me a different view of competing in STEM compared to Science Olympiad. And probably because it focused a lot on teamwork and gracious professionalism. And these kinds of things weren't as present in Science Olympiad. Like Sarah said, Science Olympiad was a very individual thing. You competed in individual events compared to robotics, where I was really shocked that everyone was working together as a team. Like if you didn't have a part for a robot, there were other teams around that could help you. And I just thought that it was a really great site. And so through robotics, I got to learn a lot about how to build a robot. You can see in the top picture, that was the robot that we built. And it was a great experience being able to kind of get a brief overview of how to code things, how to use different types of tools, and how to outreach the community. But ultimately, through joining robotics, I realized that kind of engineering wasn't really my thing. And I think that that's a really important point that a lot of the other panelists touched on. like not knowing exactly what you want to do, but it's okay to try a lot of different things. So I dipped my feet in robotics. I realized that I wanted to focus on other things in high school, and that led me to back to Science Olympiad. So I started Science Olympiad in elementary with Grizzy Elementary School. So you can see, actually I don't have a picture, but we were the first competing team from Grizzy to compete in Science Olympiad. And then I moved on to Mesa Robles Science Olympiad, and I had to dig so far back to find all these pictures, but the little throwback pics on the top. I competed in Mesa Robles, and then in Wilson, I competed in the high school division for all 4 years. So for me, Science Olympiad was kind of the main thing that really helped me choose what I wanted to do in college and kind of helped me find my passion. Freshman year, we competed. I returned to help Mesa at the state tournament. And sophomore year, that was kind of when things really took off for our team, I think. We won third place at LA Regionals, and we qualified for the state tournament for the first time. So that was super cool. And after being in Science Olympiad in high school, I kind of decided that I wanted to take on a higher role. And so I applied for leadership positions. And eventually I became captain of the Science Olympiad team, both my junior year and my senior year. And so these are just some of the events that I did on the side. And I think Sarah said a lot about how Science Olympiad is super broad and there's just so many different events that you can do. And I definitely think that's one of the main things that helped me find my passion and helped me realize that I want to major in biology, was because I kind of tried all sorts of different events. You can see I did things from fossils to rocks and minerals. I did protein modeling. There were so many different opportunities for me to explore so many different fields in Science Olympiad. And I think that that was definitely something that really helped me decide what I want to do in the future. So junior year, we placed fourth at state. That was a really big accomplishment for our team. Senior year, we continued to compete. And definitely I learned a lot of being able to take new things. We were studying things that were college level material, things that I'm currently studying now. So in my college classes, I'm really taking stuff that I had learned from Science Olympiad, from my experiences in anatomy and physiology. I'm using that in my classes right now. Experiences from experimental design to help with my lab reports. A lot of these skills that I learned in Science Olympiad, I still use them today. And I think that's one of the really great parts about Science Olympiad. And even things like doing fossils and rocks and minerals, I think one of the most important skills that Science Olympiad taught me was just being able to pick up something that you're super interested in and kind of research and learn more about it at a college or higher level. And that's definitely helped me today. So here's just kind of a montage of a bunch of our Science Olympiad picks. And like I said, being able to do Science Olympiad and study anatomy and physiology and choose all these sorts of different events, it really helped me realize that I was super interested in learning about biology. I was more interested in reading these college level textbooks than I was learning about physics or learning about chemistry. And so that kind of pushed me towards realizing that I wanted to pursue a career in medicine. So other high school activities that I did, I competed in FBLA. I was the president of the club my senior year, and I dipped my toes in a bunch of other events. I did healthcare administration, create and public speaking. I was also in Key Club and Yearbook. And through these two organizations, I really got to develop a hobby for graphic design. And I definitely think that's something that is important to pursue in high school. You know, even though you might have a lot of interests, for instance, STEM, for example, it's still important to have other hobbies or activities that you're interested in. And for me, that was really graphic design and kind of learning how to use Adobe InDesign and Photoshop to work with Yearbook. So that was definitely a big part of my high school experience. I was also part of the IB program. It was a really extensive experience. We got to take a bunch of different tests. We were able to write an extended essay, which was a 4,000 word paper. And it's definitely skills that I still use today in college. And so this is just something else that I did between the summer between my junior and senior year. I actually went to UCLA and I participated in a summer program called UCLA Nanoscale Microscopy Lab and Nanoscience Lab. So I got to stay at UCLA in the dorms, and we were able to work at the California Nanosystems Institute. And we kind of got a tour. We learned all sorts of things about microscopy. And at the end, we were able to kind of choose a research project that we wanted to focus on. So my team and I decided that we wanted to research how fluorescent microscopy could be used to better understand Alzheimer's disease. and I gave a whole presentation about that. And it was definitely something that I became interested in because I had also learned about these things in Science Olympiad. And so kind of my journey from high school and Science Olympiad and this experience at UCLA, it kind of solidified my reason to pursue biology in college. And eventually I was able to do my extended essay for IB on Alzheimer's disease. And what I'm up to right now, like I said, I'm currently at UCLA. Some reasons why I chose UCLA was because of the location. LA is honestly a super great place. There's so many different places to explore. But really, the opportunities for pre-med were just so endless. We're super close to the Ronald Reagan Hospital, so we get to be able to volunteer there. There's so many organizations that take place there where you can get medical experience. And some of the organizations that I'm a part of are Alumni Scholars Club. So for any juniors who are out there who want to apply to UCLA, you can apply for the scholarship. It's usually due March 1st. So if you're interested in applying to UCLA in the future, should look out for the scholarship. I'm also part of Saving Hearts Foundation. So that we hold local heart screenings at high schools nearby to help spread awareness for sudden cardiac arrest. I'm also a tutor for another club, and I'm a part of Daily Bruin. So another hobby that I picked up in high school. I'm doing that today with the newspaper at my college. But yeah, I guess kind of to wrap up my presentation, a piece of advice to you guys, those of you who have already applied to college or are looking to apply to college or interested in writing your college apps and worrying about that, I would definitely have to say that your future doesn't really depend on a checklist. And that's something that I learned from a lot of panelists that I've been to in my college meetings. Um, we talk a lot about how pre-med, there's a bunch of things that you have to do. You have to do shadowing, you have to do research, you have to have great grades, and kind of even in high school becomes a checklist. Going to a bunch of different extracurriculars, making sure that you pass your AP tests. Pretty much your high school experience can quickly become very stressful and overwhelming. And I definitely think that it's really important to remember to take time to enjoy the experiences that you have now. And rather than focusing on kind of checking off a bunch of different boxes to fill out your college apps or to make your resume look better, it's really important to find something that you're super passionate about. And even if that means trying things that you might not end up committing to, it's still important to find something that you're super interested in and something that you can reflect on your college apps. But yeah, that sums up my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open it up for questions. So if you just type a question to me, direct it toward me in the chat, I'll read the questions out loud to the rest of the college speakers, and you can direct a question to a specific person or to all four of the speakers. Okay, so I guess we'll start with our first question, which is, what's something that surprised you when you went to college? And that's to all the speakers. I guess you can answer in order of the speaking. So like first Albert, then Sarah, then Alvin, then Katie.
Sure. I'll go first. I think what really surprised me was that I could sign up for classes on my own. And so I literally just like for fun signed up for like business classes, signed up for mechanical engineering classes outside my major. And I really felt like free to do that because no one could stop me from just walking into a class. That thing too. But I just really enjoyed that freedom. And so one thing to note that if your college does allow, or if you don't get caught while doing this, like feel free to just walk into a class and attend. Would not recommend if it's like a tiny class for like 20 people, then you'll clearly stand out. But if you can get away with it, I would highly recommend.
Yeah, I guess for me, I guess it's like both the balance. Like there's a lot of like really cool project classes that I like was really into, and how like individual each of those project classes were. Like for one of my classes, everyone just built their own robot, and there wasn't like a guideline for it. You just built what you wanted to, and then you had all these like really smart people telling you like, oh, that won't work, or like that's a good idea. It's like, oh wait, you need to like figure out if your arm will support that. That was really cool. And also there's like a lot of like math behind things. I don't know. When I did engineering, I thought it'd be more like in robotics at least. We just did a lot of like building and experimenting, but like in college you have to do a lot of like math and theory behind it before you can even touch buildings. The robotics class I took, I couldn't take it until like my sophomore spring. So I had to take like 1.5 years of like engineering slash like math classes to even be able to like take that class. So there's like a lot of like math behind things that I guess I didn't expect.
Yeah, so I think the thing that really surprised me most was about like freedom, but I think Albert was talking more about academic freedom. I guess my thing I'm talking about is sort of personal freedom. In college, it's a lot about managing yourself, managing your time, managing what you want to do, right? No one's really out there looking out for you anymore. Or what I mean by that is no one's out there holding your hands, telling you what to do. Maybe your parents will try to do that once in a while, but you guys are grown-ups now. You guys don't have to listen to them anymore. But yeah, yeah, make your own decisions, guys. But a lot of it is understanding your own limits and how you function as a person. Maybe you are capable of doing terrible 6 hours of classes days. Maybe you are. Maybe you got to space it out. Maybe you've got to put like an hour gap or something like that. It's all about managing your own time and managing your personal resources, right? Whether that's like time, energy, happiness, these kind of things are a lot more important, and it really forces you to grow up a little bit, right? It really forces you to make these hard decisions. I have to give up sleep. Maybe usually I like to chill out after 10 p.m. and watch Netflix or something. Well, I can't do that. I've got a paper coming up. It's all about taking responsibility for your own actions and, changing whatever needs to be changed to get the results that you want in college.
Yeah, I definitely have to echo off of what Alvin said. I think something that surprised me was just how independent you become. There's not really like counselors or coaches or teachers pushing you to do your assignments or like study for different things. You're really on your own now. And I think that a lot of that, like Alvin said, it comes with learning how to balance your responsibilities. So different organizations that you want to take on, different classes that you want to take, it's super important to learn how to time manage. And that's definitely something that surprised me because I had to learn how to manage my time better instead of doing all sorts of different things. But something else that really surprised me was the mentorship opportunities in college. I think that, going to college like UCLA or UC Berkeley or MIT, it might seem super competitive, but I think that especially for UCLA, it's such a supportive environment. Most of the clubs and orgs that I've joined, there's just so many upperclassmen who are willing to help me out. They connect me with so many different alumni, with different mentors, and I definitely think that was super surprising for me, being able to extend my connections out into the professional field.
This next question is also for all of you guys. How do you balance college workload and activities that you want to do?
Do we want to go reverse in this time or same order?
Up to you guys.
Kitty, you want to start
Yeah.
first?
Oh yeah, I can start first. I guess how I balance my time. I think that it's definitely a lot harder now that things are online. But I think that the most important thing is kind of prioritize the things that you want to do. So for me, I try not to procrastinate on my recorded lectures, and instead of waiting until like the end of the quarter to watch all of my lectures, I try to watch it at the end of the week. Other than that, I think that learning how to, like I said, being able to find organizations that you're super passionate about. It's okay to try a bunch of different things, but understanding what's most important to you, what you're most interested in, and finding those things that you can commit to, I think that's super important.
Yeah, I think how I would tackle it is just finding time whenever possible. You're just squeezing as much time as possible. And I don't mean like just 24/7 grinding, doing homework, stuff like that. It's just more about purposely using your time for what's important at that situation. So maybe at that situation, like, oh damn, I feel burnt out. I've been doing P sets for 10 hours, everything sucks. Well, maybe at a point like that, you got to take a step back and like, all right, maybe I got to chill out a little bit. Productivity increases when you're not sad and on the verge of being very sad, stuff like that. So it's all about understanding yourself and what you need to do and what your limits are. um, just keeping in mind how you feel, your productivity, stuff like that is pretty important to managing your time. Because maybe, you know, doing something for 4-hour increments is better than doing it straight. You know, these kind of things are kind of important to understanding oneself and one's limitations.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess like in college, I would say one thing is I was really surprised, like looking back in high school, I'm like, how did I wake up at like 7 every day and stay there till like 7 o'clock? Like, how did I do that? But I think in college, the difference is I guess it takes a lot more mental energy for me, like to like go through a class in college, I guess. So I guess being able to like schedule breaks, like you like I don't know, maybe I'm just older, I don't know. But like now I can't like work as straight as I did in high school. But like I like know that. So I'm able to like schedule breaks accordingly. I do schedule my naps, things like that. I put into my schedule. And also I think what's really helpful is I always find like a PSET buddy. Like usually there's one person I know in the class and like having someone there like p-setting with you and like setting a time being like, oh, I'm free from like 9 to like 12 or something, and having someone there like with you and like even through Zoom right now, like it's still like I feel like I'm a lot more productive during that time when if I have someone there to be productive with me.
Yeah, definitely good pieces of advice. I think for me, I use Google Calendar to schedule my time. And I think scheduling your time and seeing what exactly you need to do for a given day is really important. It just like gives you a visual image of how busy you are. And so I use Google Calendar. I schedule all of my classes, discussions. You know, if I have a dinner planned with a friend or lunch, or if I have like a volunteer event, it's all there. And if I look at my calendar and I'm very sad at how busy I am, then I need to make a change. And I think Katie talked briefly about this, about prioritizing, but you know, you need to know what you want to do. You're the shot caller of your own time. And if you're not a good shot caller, then you should probably change something, and you're the agent of that change. So would recommend using Google Calendar to organize things.
So our next question is directed to Katie. Could you go more into depth about what the lab at UCLA was like?
Yeah, so it's like a summer session program at UCLA. So UCLA has a bunch of summer sessions that you can take classes from. So this was kind of a program that you sign up for. You have to write like an essay, I think, and then I submitted my application and then I got in. So I was accepted to participate in the program. I think there are about like 20 or so people. We got to stay at the dorms, which was super nice. It was a double, just 2 people. So I got to kind of experience the dorm life, and we got a lot of food. We got catered food. It was super good from UCLA. But other than that, the lab itself, we were able to tour CNSI, which is a Nanosystems Institute on the UCLA campus. And you get to take a tour of the lab. So you get to see a bunch of how scientists research and what they're doing, what undergraduate students might be doing or graduate students. You get to talk to different scientists and learn more about their projects, and they show you how different types of microscopy works. The other one was called Nanoscience Lab, so I went back again and I did another program. In that one, we learned a lot of different ways to apply nanoscience into fields. So they would have experiments for us to conduct and kind of just learn more about what it was. But overall, at the end of the whole session, you get to pick a project to present on. So you get to talk to different scientists or researchers about things that you're interested in. So for me, I was interested in the fluorescent microscopy part of it. So I talked to the researcher who was responsible for that, and he helped me and my group kind of set up our presentation, and you get to present about what you learned about. So it's a really good experience. It's not essentially a full-on research experience where you're performing research in a lab and working with them, but you kind of get an introduction to what research is, especially as a high school student.
Okay, the next question is directed towards Sarah. What's your favorite class that you've taken and why?
I guess my favorite class that I have taken is a class called 200B, which is basically a toy product design class. I took it my freshman spring, so it was like one of the first classes I took, and it was very fun to be able to just build stuff and have like people consulting to build stuff. It's also the first time, like I guess like in the past with robotics, there's like a lot of like they set the rules and they set the like limitations you have to do, but this was a lot more free form, so we're able to choose what we want to do, and we had like a $700 budget to build a vest, and it was great. Like it was really nice to be able to like pull an all-nighter in the lab. Well, not nice at the time, but looking back, it was really fun. And going to like to late night and getting food and things like that. It was also the first time I worked with like a team at MIT. Like we were in a group of 6, and like everyone had like the experiences were so varied, but everyone was able to contribute, which was really fun. I'm also taking a class right now called 2008, and it's a yo-yo class, and I'm having fun in that class right now. We're making a yo-yo, not yo-yoing, but yes. So I really like project classes at MIT. And the mechanical engineering department here invests a lot of money into like the mechanical engineering project classes, so it's really nice.
So the next question is pretty straightforward, but someone asked, how much sleep did you guys get in high school?
Like 6 hours before a chem test, maybe 5 or 4. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah. As weird as it sounds, I think personally I get less sleep, or I got less sleep in high school than I do now. You know, for many reasons. Like I said, you know, freedom, your structure is not as rigid and stuff like that. You know, especially with online classes and stuff like that. You don't have to go to that 8 a.m. lecture. You can just watch the pre-recording later on in the day. It's just how these things work. So, um, I think the thing about college students don't get sleep, you know, that kind of stigma. It does depend person by person what their values are, stuff like that. So, you know, you guys don't have to be too worried about not getting too much sleep, stuff like that. I'm sure everyone will manage. Like you'll be surprised how much punishment the human body and mind can take. So, you know, stay strong, guys.
Yeah, I think I definitely got like 4 to 5 hours of sleep every day, maybe like 3 sometimes, but it was definitely made up by like my nap times after. So I would go to science lab practice and I get back at like 6, I think, and then I would nap. And then I would wake up like an hour later to eat dinner and then work until like 2, 3 a.m. And then I wake up at 5:50 for zero period. So it was, I'm looking back, I'm absolutely stunned at how I did that. Like I cannot do that right now. I get 8 hours of sleep and I'm still so tired right now in college. So definitely I get a lot more sleep in college. And I think like Alvin said, it depends on how you prioritize your time. It was really up to you to kind of study and do things on your own at your own pace. So if you want a nap, you can take a nap. If you want more hours of sleep, then you can do that.
I will also say that in college, oh, I froze again. Sorry. In college, like for me at least, like PSETs are weekly. So you don't get homework every day, but you get like one PSET that'll take you like 10 hours. You have an entire week to do it. So you could manage your time better. And also I feel like in college, um, teachers are more understanding if you can't do something. Like if you say like, oh, like, I have like a lot of stuff this week. Like they're usually more lenient, and in high school they're a little bit less lenient. Yeah, high school was, I don't know how I did that. That was crazy. But yeah, um, yeah, high school is like very scheduled too. So like maybe like your body builds up a routine. I don't know. But college, you have a lot more flexibility. Like I definitely get more sleep now than I did in high school.
So our next question is directed to Albert. When and how did you decide on the major that you are in?
Sure. I think I want to answer again the last question real quick, but like if you're getting like 8 hours of sleep, that is great for you. Like do not ever feel guilty if you're getting 8 hours of sleep. And like there's this really toxic culture in college where, you know, I should be doing everything. I should be doing the XYZ, ABC, like don't feel pressured. And so, you know, be healthy, exercise. I think Lisa might have talked about that in the last session. But to answer this question, how did I decide? So I actually came in as an industrial engineering major. And I came in with that because I did research at USC in their industrial engineering lab where I was 3D printing stuff. But I eventually switched to computer science because I just really enjoyed 61A. Like I remember I spent 3 hours on one question, literally on one question. And then I didn't even get the answer after 3 hours. I was walking home because I gave up, and then I figured it out on the walk home. I was like, wow, this is really satisfying. And so that's when I decided to switch. So yeah, take classes, do cool stuff, learn cool things.
Okay, this next question is directed towards Alvin. Did you have trouble like picking between the colleges that accepted you, and why did you pick your specific college?
Yeah, so I think I did have a bit of trouble. Uh, Not to like flex or anything, but there were some cool colleges on that list. But I think I won't say. I won't say. You guys don't have to feel bad about it. Don't worry. But a lot of it is about doing your research, specifically like what the programs are and how flexible they are. So there's a lot of give and take when it comes to this stuff. For example, like public university, like what me, Katie, and Albert go to. There's a lot more people, so there's like a lot bigger class size, better or bigger culture, bustling culture, stuff like that. However, resources are spread thin. Maybe there aren't as many opportunities to go around when you have a class size of like 40,000. Maybe it's a little more competitive. Whereas for a school like Sarah's, a private university, maybe they have more time to cater towards your like you personally. Maybe they're more focused on you, more resources. They don't kick you out of your dorms on the second year, stuff like that. So you really have to take your time to look into the colleges and what you value. Personally, I do thrive a little bit on competition. I do like trying my best and all these kind of things. I like meeting people, stuff like that. So that's why I chose Berkeley. But there's a bunch of other factors like culture, familiarity with the school, stuff like that. So I think over your time in high school, you'll definitely try to understand more about what you want out of the college experience. And even if you don't find exactly what you do want, it's okay. There's transfers, stuff like that. There's study abroad programs or study in different school programs that you can take. It's not too big of a deal. I think you guys will probably have it figured out by whenever you guys apply. And even if you don't, there's still opportunities to change course in college. So just take the decision with confidence, and if you come to regret it later, it's fine. You can always change course and fix it.
This next question is directed towards all you guys. Can you guys talk about some mistakes you made in high school and what you learned from them?
I think I can go first. I think in high school, I had a really competitive attitude where I like didn't want to share like scores I had and things like that. And I also like I didn't like prioritize my time properly, and like it was just like very competitive. Like I treated it very competitive, even though it didn't really need to be. I felt like my grade, like we were like there was no reason for me to be as competitive as I maybe was. Um, and I think that I also didn't prioritize, and because of that, I didn't like really prioritize that much like social time and friendships. So I think that like I just focused, I just did like eat, sleep, go to school, do robotic science Olympiad, and then do homework, and then that's it. Like I didn't like prioritize like maintaining and keeping friendships. So like I'm happy with the friends I have, but like I think that I could have prioritized that more, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, going off of what Sarah said, I think a lot of my my regrets in high school was being overly competitive, that kind of sort of competitive drive. And, it is important to try your best and do, all these types of doing take these all of these opportunities, but you definitely shouldn't try to let it define you and your attitude. I think I had the people who went to high school with me know I had a little bit of a competitive streak going on there, and it may or may not have been the best for my public image, stuff like that. So I definitely think, knowing what I do know now, I definitely could have chilled out a lot more. And you guys, I think if I had to give like one piece of advice to people that are younger than me, I think the advice I'd give is everything works out in the end. I think as long as you understand what you're doing, what you want to do in the future, and how you're going to improve, I think everything will work out. You know, even colleges, stuff like that, everything work out. And I hope you guys really hold that in your hearts, that like everything will work out eventually. I just have to keep going, keep doing my things. And I know it is a little hard right now, especially you know, if you guys have your parents pushing you, stuff like that. But I think my personal advice is that they will chill out eventually. I know my mom definitely chilled out once I got into college. Now she's also adopted the mindset of like everything works out eventually. It's just a matter of making it there. Just understand that your parents are also in as much stress as you guys are. Make sure to thank your parents everything. You know, maybe not to their face, but definitely understand that, you know, they're as stressed as you are, and that once you guys find your footing in life, they'll definitely be a lot more easy on you guys. And you know, just don't beat yourself over it. You know, stuff happens. Life's unfair. What are you gonna do? All you can do is just get back up, keep on rolling with the punches. You know, make the best of what you've got.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the biggest mistake I made was probably just not enjoying high school as much as I should have. I think, like Sarah said, you know, it kind of can get pretty routine when you're like caught up with science Olympiad practices, and then you have to do your homework, and you have to study for a bunch of tests, and then pretty soon high school just becomes like the same routine every single day. But I think that if I were to go back, I would definitely enjoy high school way more. You know, you only get to experience high school once. And so I really miss those times where I'm in my class and I know everyone in my class and we're just like chilling and having fun. I really miss that. And that's something that we don't really have right now in college because the classes are just so big. So I would definitely say just enjoy the experiences that you have now. And rather than it is important to focus on your future and what you want to do and kind of find your passion, like we've all been talking about. But it's also super important to focus on yourself, like maintaining your friendships and just really enjoying high school and what it is right now. I feel very thankful that I'm being able to speak to you all today. I never thought that I would be able to speak on like college experiences and things like that. So just to let you guys know that it'll all work out in the end, like Alvin said.
Yeah, I have pretty much the same experience. Like, I really wish I had more fun in high school. Like, it was just AP class after AP class, and then robotics meeting after robotics meeting. I literally slept over at the robotics office because I was afraid I wouldn't wake up for the competition. But really just like take a step back and have fun. Like, I was in jazz band for 4 years, and I realized that every single day I was just like, I'm here to do my job. But one of my drum teacher, when I was playing once, he just looked at me and said, "Albert, stop playing. Like, why aren't you smiling? When you play music, you do it for entertainment, for other people's enjoyment, but you're not enjoying it yourself." And so I really took that to heart. And so I regret not having more fun. As you know, as shallow or as generic as that might sound, enjoy these years. They're really, really precious.
Okay, that was the last question. I think that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. Do you guys want to say like closing thoughts or like just end the whole thing?
Quick closing thought is that, you know, feel free to reach out to me if you don't know what computer science or you're interested in it. I'm happy to like show you some resources to help you to learn more. So yeah, just let me know. Find me on Facebook. I think my name is pretty unique, so feel free to shoot a message.
Yeah, I guess if you have any questions, you could ask me about, I guess, my experience in both high school, like if all of you guys from Wilson, like I'm from Wilson, or in college. Like yeah, and I guess like last thing is just like don't stress too much about not knowing what you want to do. You don't have to have that perfect resume, I think. Like I'm still like figuring that out now. Um, but you don't have to have that like perfect, pristine resume and have like, oh, I started robotics when I was 3 years old and I am a coding god. Like you don't need that. Like you just need it like as long as you're doing things that you like like you'll eventually find something like you're really passionate about. So yeah, don't force yourself into a field that you're not into, and also don't feel bad about starting things like late or feel like you're behind, like you're in high school. Like you can't really be that behind, if anything. Yeah. So, yep.
Yeah, I would also say the same things. If you're interested in learning more about my experiences in high school or in college, feel free to reach out to me too. But other than that, I think, like Sarah said, it's super important that you guys enjoy the time that you have now. One bad AP test score, no one really cares about AP tests or like your 1A in the class or whatever. It's really, it's important that you guys find things that you're interested in, and high school and college is really a time for you to explore all of those different opportunities. So take advantage of those things and make sure you're having fun.
Alvin, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, so I think as you guys are spending your Saturday afternoon, morning-ish deal here in this, I think you guys are definitely college-driven people. You guys are definitely trying to just grab any opportunity, which is good. I think my closing remark is just try your best, but don't let competitiveness define you. It's definitely something that I have big regrets in my high school life. Like I've talked about many times, these things will work out if you put in the work. I think if you put in the work, if you try your best, you will definitely land on your feet and find where you need to go. And it's just a matter of whenever you're gonna make your break. Maybe you're going to have your lucky break in like senior year of high school. That's great. Maybe your lucky break comes along during sophomore year. These kind of things, they have a tendency to be different for every person, but I think, and I have confidence that all of you guys will find a place that you guys are happy in 4 or 5 years down the line. So just keep going strong, keep it up, guys, and do your best.